Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I don't think I have to tell you too much about the necessity of freedom of speech in order to have a healthy society. Without that, you would not be able to really find the truth. And when you have institutions of higher education, which are universities, they have to have the greatest degree of freedom of speech in order to exchange ideas, in order to, for instance, the faculty to form or at least the engaged young adults in discussions, open and free discussions. We have a problem though, and besides the fact that the faculty at the colleges, universities, they write papers, they conduct research, and so on. Now, if freedom of speech within these colleges is low, that tells you that people are afraid, faculty and students are afraid to speak out. That means they will hide the truth. There will be hacks, there will be activists. That is, you have an agenda and you're going to be subjective in trying to achieve that agenda or push it. I personally, I'm not a fan of the Ivy League schools in the United States of America for the reason, for instance, I have a few examples of people graduating or attending this kind of Ivy Leagues, where is the creme de la creme of the American university level institutions of education. And I have a few examples, and I will use, let's say, one, which is George W. Bush Jr., who both attended Yale and Harvard University. And you can hear him talk. So this kind of things, just raise my antennas. Poof. Then I have some researchers that were, I think, fired for falsifying studies in social studies, obviously. Then I have the freedom of speech in, or at least the admissions that Harvard engages in or used to with affirmative action, and that was not right. Why? Because it was a preferential admission for some people, hurting others that didn't do anything wrong. So we're punishing other groups for a certain group, and that is not just. Well, I'm not going to expect anybody to give me a pass if I break the law just because I was, or my ancestors were, I don't know, hurt 200 years ago or 300 years ago or 400 years ago or whenever. So that's not just, or not justice. So we have here a survey, and this survey provided by Russia Today, it was not conducted by Russia Today, tells us the worst US university for free speech. So after making all this introduction and giving you that without free speech you're not a good university, actually you can't, because you don't promote a free exchange and truthful exchange of ideas. That means you lie, or if you say something you're going to get fired or punished. Let me show you this little article here. This comes from Russia Today, September 7th, 2023. Survey reveals worst US university for free speech. Harvard ranked last in the newly released FIRE rankings. So you're the best university, but you can't say much. That tells you something. I'm not denying that Harvard has or should have, at how much you have to pay to get there, a high degree of education, which is a high curriculum and requirements. But if you are in the social science, you can say certain things because they don't fit the agenda, then what kind of information you get there? So let's read this article. The Harvard University, the oldest institution of higher learning in the US, is also the worst when it comes to freedom of speech, according to a Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, FIRE, survey released this week. There's another Russian foundation. Now, the rankings showed the institution at 0, squat, with the cumulative score actually standing at negative 10.69. Fire's director of polling and analytics, Sean Stevens, told the New York Post, and I'm quoting, "I thought it would be pretty much impossible for a school to fall below 0. But they've had so many scholars' sanctions." Stevens says Harvard has disciplined 7 out of 9 professors and researchers over something they had said or written. Now, to be honest, maybe they said something that was untruthful, and that again, if you have that, that means you got some hacks as faculty. How did they get to be teaching at Harvard? So let's say these guys say, no. They skimmed through the bad faculty, professors. Well, who hired them? What was the process? That means the process of hiring and promoting these scholars is bad. That means you are bad at an institution. Change that. So, Harvard Consortium Climate what the hell was that saying? Harvard Censorship Climate has led more than 100 faculty to organize a council on academic freedom earlier this year. Stevens said he was not totally surprised, as Harvard has ranked, and I'm quoting, consistently near the bottom, end quote, since Fire started doing the survey 4 years ago. It is the only school that Fire currently ranks as abysmal, end quote. And I'm quoting, an environment in which you can actually get in trouble for the wrong, quote unquote, academic opinion is not one that can depend upon to produce reliable knowledge. 100% truthful, end quote. Fire President and CEO Greg Lukianoff said, announcing the survey's results, and I'm quoting, "It's especially disturbing that some of the worst performing institutions are among America's most influential schools, including Harvard, Georgetown, Northwestern, and Dartmouth. Now, I think it makes perfect sense, because the universities are forming us, the young adults, and then after we leave with a Harvard degree, we will find a job somewhere very high up. So we need to actually be certain that people that are educated at Harvard with a Harvard point of view and worldview, when they get in those positions, catapulted from the very beginning and have more chances to succeed as a career in life, they have to have a certain worldview. You don't just let them be over there honest with the intelligence they have, obviously. No, you have to channel their intelligence, their capability, mental capability, with certain kind of ideas. When they leave and they say, well, I work for Harvard, okay, you're hired. You're not going to be hired as a, no insult to anybody, like a janitor. So you can't let that be free. You have to control it, because those guys will change the country. They most likely will get in positions of power, of influence in the country. So you have to control that. How do you control it? Controlling information. And by repetition, you have you could have a higher rate of success. I'm not saying that they're very impressionable, but remember how you were at 18 or 19, how much you knew about the world. Because remember, the capacity, your brain capacity, doesn't mean that you know. You know by putting effort. That is spending time, wasting time, spending time in gaining knowledge. Now, if you get the wrong knowledge or skewed knowledge or one-sided knowledge, with your intelligence, it doesn't mean that if you graduate at Harvard, you are going to have, let's say, you're not going to be divorcing because you understand how life is, or you're not going to lose your job, or you're not going to say something stupid, or you're not going to, maybe become an alcoholic. That's not, the predictor that you might not involved in life in the wrong way. So you can't let that be like that way. It's personal effort, but they try to indoctrinate, because they can't let you just straight shoot up and be of the wrong stripe. Now, the university in Cambridge, Massachusetts, just north of Boston, was chartered in 1650 and is considered one of the most prestigious in North America. Rounding out the bottom 5 were the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia, the University of South Carolina in Columbia, Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., and Fordham University in New York City. New York Columbia University, last year's worst school for free speech, came in 214th this time around. A total of 248 colleges and universities were considered. The best ranked schools for free speech this year was the Michigan Technological University in Houghton. Now, technology should be, you can be an activist with technology unless you introduce things like the idiot Buttigieg, Secretary of Transportation here, saying that roads are racist. Now, so technology should be neutral. If you look at it, it rains here as it rains over there, unless you say no, it rains here because those guys affect pop, and no, that's political. But rain is formed in the same way. Science should be neutral. It is neutral actually, but anyway. And it says Alabama's Auburn University, the University of New Hampshire, Oregon State University, I'm surprised with that one, and Florida State University made up the rest of the top 5. Why do I say Oregon? Because Oregon is very much a communist state, and and Washington as well, more like Washington with Seattle, but still Oregon. But hey, that's a good thing. It looks good. According to FIRE, the rankings rely heavily on the school's speech codes and responses to the platforming demands. A survey of 55,000 students also revealed that 56% were worried about getting quote-unquote cancelled for something they had said, while 27% believed it was acceptable to use violence to stop speech on campus in some circumstances. That's almost 1/3. 1 in 3 thinks that violence is acceptable to stop. The problem is these guys who you see, I got to see this in experience. The people who are the weakest, like in this case violence and in physical combat, they have the biggest mouth in accepting violence. But if you introduce them, you knock them out in no time. When you look at this, whatever they are, Black Lives Matter and Antifa idiots over there with their masks, when they get in when they get pushed back by a real man, they get fucked up in no time. Look at them. They don't even know how to walk. So, but the problem is they like violence, but they don't want to be opposed by they want only to be able to hit or scratch, but not able to be like this. There are many videos, used to be, I don't know if they're still on YouTube, when that guy, for instance, I'm giving you one example that I know, when that guy punches one Antifa, whatever she was, I think she just jumps on these guys a few times and then he just hits her one time. I'm not promoting that, I'm just explaining that most of the time these guys are weasels, and that 27% are people like, for instance, Lindsey Graham or others that, I'm not saying that they didn't serve or anything like that, but you look at them and say, I don't know exactly what the fuck you are, and you're so warlike. Or let's say John Bolton, again, another idiot. He's all for war, but I don't know what he's able to do or was able to do. From his biography, I didn't catch anything that really impressed me. Actually, nothing, but besides being a weasel and being successful in life with his weaselship. Good, we allow that to be a quality nowadays. Not nowadays, but anyway. Again, the survey showed that the most difficult topics to discuss on campus are abortion, gun control, racial inequality, and transgender rights. All those things are defended by one side. You can discuss those things, really. Why? That tells you who are the 27%, I guess, or gives you a hint. FIRE was founded in 1999 with the mission to defend and sustain the individual rights of all Americans to free speech and free thought, the most essential qualities of liberty. Sometimes you should look if you watch Animal Planet and they show you an objective documentary, and see, for instance, how animals react to one another when they're frustrated and they are not allowed to function in a certain way. They act violently immediately. They're not going to negotiate. Well, it seems like we're not far from that. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.